Let me tell you, if you sit outside, make sure to remain seated at all times. We'll start our boat trip on the Neva River, where the bridges are quite high. So when we sail on the Neva, it's not a problem to stand up and walk, because you are safe enough. But we'll also sail on some narrower rivers. For example, we'll be sailing on the Fountain River, where the bridges are quite low. So when we sail under these low bridges, it's quite vital to remain seated, because if you stand up under the bridge with your head, you might damage a bridge. I don't want this to happen to you or to the bridges. So that is why, if you do need to stand up to use the bathroom, there will be a bathroom on the boat. Or if you want to take a picture, before you stand up, look around and make sure that we are not approaching a bridge. Please plug in your headphones. I will be now using the bigger microphone, and I will start using the smaller one on the boat, and then later in the Hermitage Museum, and then later in the Church of the Spilled Blood, and after lunch we are doing St. Isaac's. That's our itinerary for today. Live in apartments rather than in private homes. Some people live in the downtown area, and the majority live on the outskirts. We are now in the westmost part of St. Petersburg. I mean, you see some of these apartment buildings, some of them are older. They date from 1970s, 1980s. For example, my mother has been living in one and the same apartment building for 40 years. Yes, so it means her apartment building was put up, its construction was completed in 1970s. Some of these apartment buildings are newer. For example, over there in the distance on the right hand side, you see those beautiful apartment buildings. Some of them are under construction. By the way, did you realize that this land where we are at the moment was reclaimed by the sea?
From the sea?
Where now it used to be the sea. For example, this apartment building, I remember it very well. This grey apartment building, which is to the right, used to stand right on the shore. When people were buying apartments in this apartment building, I'm sure they expected to have the sea view, and that's why they were buying them. But now, no more sea view. No, now they still see the harbor, the port for the beautiful ships. But I'm sure this land, which was reclaimed, sooner or later will be all built in. So this here on the right, there is a monument to Peter I in front of this hotel. Only people who had been living in these apartments before could privatize them. In these new apartment buildings, people buy nowadays. As I've said, young families can't afford to buy. That's why they rent for a while, but nowadays they don't rent from the state. They rent from individual owners. Because a lot of families nowadays own more than one apartment, because it's considered to be a very good investment. It's much better than having a deposit in a bank, because the interest that a bank pays never keeps up with the inflation. It's much better to invest in real estate. Look now on the right. You will see that mak is mak. In Russian it looks the same, mak. But letter D looks different, doesn't it? Donald's. Letter D looks like Greek delta. So that's what concerns. Or you will have to line up. For example, if you need to get a blood test, You have to wait for hours and hours, and then you give up and you say, okay, I will go to a private clinic and I will pay, but that's how I will save time, and I don't want to catch any contagious diseases when I wait in the line with other sick patients. So you usually end up paying. Probably I'm spoiled because my husband's job is quite well paid. I also contribute to our family. Now you got Krasin. One but last letter, which looks like backwards N, is E, Krasin. Icebreaker Krasin participated in quite a few expeditions, both in Arctic and in Antarctic. This building on the left is University of Mining Engineering. And some other buildings that line the embankment of the Neva River date from the 18th, and some of them were rebuilt in the 19th century. At that time there were single-family homes. The church, which is now coming into view, is Assumption Church.
Submarine.
I'm sure you all know that under the Soviets, people in this country were discouraged from being religious. A lot of churches were demolished. A lot of churches were turned into something else. This church, for example, was turned into indoor skating rink. Now we can speak about revival of religion in this country. All these churches have recently undergone capital reconstruction, and they are now functioning churches again. At the port, have we? Which means the port where your ship is docked is on the same island in its westmost part. Later today, I will once again show you the eastmost part. You probably remember, we saw it yesterday on the way to the fortress. And I mentioned, it is called the Spit. On the left-hand side, in a distance, you also see a blue dome and two minarets. It is the mosque of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg has always been very, very cosmopolitan. We have always had some Muslims living here. You know, Peter I was a very tolerant man. He was very well known for his saying, I don't care if a person is circumcised or baptized. If he has a talent, he is welcome to the new capital. In this city, the sun does set, but it never goes really deep beyond the horizon. That's why it never gets dark out. And the sun rises very soon. So the night doesn't last more than a few hours. And as I've said, it's not a very dark night. We pay very dear for this wonderful period in December though. In December there is hardly any sunlight at all. Because the sun doesn't rise until 10:30. And then at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon it sets. It's very, very depressing, you know. Catherine's Catholic Church is coming into view. The corner building on the left is Grand Hotel Europe, one of the best hotels in town.
Filipino.
And on the right hand side you see, we call it Gostiny Dvor. In translation from Russian into English, Gostiny Dvor means merchant's yard. You will be able to read the dates on the facade. 1785. That's when it was built. The building is rectangular in shape. It overlooks 4 different streets. And if you walked the whole building, you would cover the distance of more than a mile. In this department store there are some expensive boutiques, but at the same time there are some clothes shops, footwear shops, where middle class people shop. The grey building on the right is the Russian. Take a look at the main facade of the Russian National Library. On the right hand side there is Catherine's Garden. In the middle of Catherine's garden, there is a monument to Catherine the Great. This is Catherine the Great and her associates. This yellow building, which we are now approaching, is the oldest drama theater in St. Petersburg. It's not the oldest theater in Russia, but it is the oldest theater in St. Petersburg. It is called Alexandrinsky Theater because Alexandra, the wife of Nicholas I, was its patroness. The theater itself is a beautiful example of classical style in architecture. It was designed by a Russian-Italian architect, Carl Rossi. He was half Italian, half Russian. Well, we could have a 10-minute stop here. So you can get off the bus. You can walk to the middle of the garden to take pictures of the monument to Catherine the Great. Take pictures of the
Kawai, kawai. Kawai, kawai, kawai lang. Tama.
On the right hand side you see this corner building with a facade adorned with granite. On the ground floor there is the fanciest grocery store, the most famous grocery store. Even through the window you can see that the interior of the grocery store is really special. This grocery store belonged to the Yeliseyev brothers. The Yeliseyev brothers were the suppliers of the royal family, and they owned grocery stores both in On the left-hand side there is the department store called Гостиный двор, Merchant's Yard, and on the right-hand side there is another famous department store which we call Passage or Passage. It's like shopping arcades. There is also a gallery of boutiques, Grand Palace on the right. And look, between the grey buildings on the right you will catch a glimpse of Armenian church. A very pretty church, isn't it? In Nevsky Prospect there are 7 churches, all of different denominations. Armenian, this is Catholic Church on the right. On the left there is the Russian Orthodox Church. On the left, on the right hand side you will see St. Peter's Lutheran Church, which we call German Church, German Kirch. Around the corner there is a Finnish Kirch and a Swedish Kirch. And there is one more church that I haven't mentioned before. On the right hand side you will see soon a grey building which used to be Dutch embassy. The central part of the building is a Dutch church. As I've said, there are churches of 7 different denominations. That's why Nevsky Prospect is often referred to as Avenue of Tolerance. Some mushrooms, some cream, some tomato sauce. And that's how this dish was invented, and that's how it became popular all over the world.
So what's the name of this? What's next?
Through the front window you can see the golden steeple of Admiralty Building.
Burger King.
As you see, the street is now decorated with flags of Russian Federation.
Yeah.
It is not by chance
There.
because today we are
Russian Federation
celebrating
now.
Flag Day.
So this yeah.
There will be
See,
many different events in St.
New flag
Petersburg
now.
today.
yeah. Federation. Russian
To tell you the
Federation.
truth, I don't know why it falls on a weekday. why we don't celebrate it on a Sunday or on a Saturday. Maybe there is some reason for that. You will now have one more chance to see Palace Square. I haven't spoken yet about the column that you see in the middle of the square.
Ooh, nice.
It is called Alexander Column. The angel on top of the column has the facial features of Alexander I. The column commemorates Russian victory over Napoleon. The column is a solid granite piece. It weighs 600 tons. And believe it or not, it is not fixed to the pedestal. It is just very well balanced. But you can imagine when it was erected, the coachmen and the pedestrians were afraid to approach it. They were afraid that it would fall over. It has never stirred though. Some groups seem to have arrived earlier than us. So now Vadim will drop us off. We'll join the line, but don't worry. It won't take us long because this is